Typically, I'm not a fan of reboots or remakes. I'm already trying to pretend a Moana remake isn't a thing. And these days, remakes outstrip original content. Moreover, the Harry Potter films are cherished by most fans. With their iconic casts, classic music, and beautiful set designs, the movies I grew up with helped to establish what Hogwarts was for me. I should be against a reboot. However, a reboot, particularly of Harry Potter, has its advantages, especially as regards the source material. And I can't pretend I wouldn't binge the show, provided it was well written, properly cast, and faithful to the books. Adherence to the source material would be especially important, as the movies, fantastic as they were, had to cut a great deal of material. From Peeves to Tom Riddle's backstory, much was lost or changed from the books, leaving some fans unsatisfied. Furthermore, a television show provides other opportunities for new talent to gain a foothold and for other productions related to the Wizarding World to be put forth. The Fantastic Beasts franchise was a flop overall, but the success of a reboot, ironically, could encourage screenwriters to tackle original stories. Before we continue, I'm Riley and this is Otherworldly Fiction. On this channel, I rant about fantasy books, discuss characters and lore, share my bookish opinion, and offer the occasional writing advice. If any of that sounds like your cup of butterbeer, hit that subscribe button. Posts are on Fridays. I'm sick of reboots. At the same time, I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. Moreover, I adore the books, and much as I love the films, I've always craved an adaptation which was more in line with the original novels. Therefore, there are 3 reasons a Harry Potter reboot could actually be a positive, not only for die-hard book fans, but for other creatives. Number 1. Precedent for additional shows. When some people heard the news that there was going to be a reboot of the original Harry Potter books, there was an outcry. Current controversy aside, many were simply loath to see anything rebooted. Moana is already set to be remade, and some made tongue-in-cheek remarks that Twilight would be remade next, which, incidentally, it is. For years, there's one series in particular that Harry Potter fans have been craving, one which follows the Marauders era, covering the time James, Lily, and Snape spent as students at Hogwarts. Many, myself included, would prefer to see something original related to the Wizarding World. At the same time, the studio's attempts to create something brand new were less than successful, to say the least. Through a combination of controversies and disappointing writing, the Fantastic Beasts films floundered, which is a shame because the first film was promising. Some pointed out that Rowling should have written a series of books instead, and then left it to a screenwriter to adapt them. At least with a reboot, this will, as it was with the original films, be the case. Rowling won't be reacting as a screenwriter, and it does look as though executives are playing it safe by adapting her novels. This doesn't bode well for a Marauder series on the surface. However, reboots of any kind have an advantage. They can allow a world to reset. As such, anything can go at this point, and if the show does well, it could open the doors to an expanded universe. Interview with a Vampire has already enjoyed some success in this regard. The original film remains beloved, but the TV series covering the adventures of Louis and Lestat has garnered its own admirers, in turn allowing more of Rice's world to be adapted and expanded upon for the small screen. Likewise, the Vampire Chronicles have also suffered from disappointing film releases, with The Queen of the Damned being forced to remove huge portions from the source material. A reboot enables a franchise to reset itself, enabling the creators to cut their losses in regards to Fantastic Beasts and try again to build a riveting world. Of course, adaptations can still go wrong. Game of Thrones had a disastrous finale, and many fans were dissatisfied with the direction The Witcher took. Writers can learn from the mistakes made by those shows, though. Both suffered because too many changes were made from the books. But Rowling has stressed the importance of keeping the show faithful to her novels. As such, we shouldn't expect the show to veer in any unexpected directions. And with The Witcher as an example, this should be a good thing. The show still runs the risk of being paint by the numbers. After all, some changes should always be made when adapting a book to the screen, simply because of the differences between the two mediums. And what works well in ink doesn't always translate visually. All this to say that a Marauder show hinges on the success of this reboot. If the show flops, we'll be no worse off than we are now, though Harry Potter content will likely come to a standstill. If the show succeeds, however, the creators could be encouraged to do more. When Interview with a Vampire was a success, the writers were able to move forward with the Mayfair Witches series, another piece of Rice's world. HBO is also known for creating spin-off shows. Despite Game of Thrones' rocky conclusion, they went ahead with House of Dragons, which, thus far, has been a success. Unlike with A Song of Ice and Fire, the screenwriters also have a finished series to draw from. They won't have to invent an ending. Of course, the Marauder series wouldn't have a book series to draw from either, unless Rowling suddenly decided to pen one, which means the writers, with or without Rowling's guidance, would have to rely on their own creativity. HBO does seem to have a better track record than, say, Disney, when it comes to solid writing, but only time will tell. The point is that the success of the reboot could usher in additional spin-off shows, not only about the Marauders, but about the likes of Voldemort or the Four Founders as well. There are dozens of ideas I'd like to see explored within the wizarding world, but that's a video in itself. It's no secret that HBO plans to create several Game of Thrones related shows, and the success of a Harry Potter reboot would likely prime them to treat the wizarding world in a similar fashion. Number 2. Opportunity for new actors. When the original films were released, they made stars out of Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint. The kids had done some work before, but it was the Harry Potter franchise which solidified each of them as household names. While they had to work through being typecast in their roles, it didn't take them long to establish themselves beyond the franchise, and their careers were made by the movies. Older characters were played by previously established actors, but the ages of the protagonists forced the creators to find and cultivate new talent. Even smaller roles gave actors a boost. With the credit of Cedric Diggory under his belt, it wasn't much of a leap for Robert Pattinson to then take on the role of Twilight's Edward. Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson in particular have continued to enjoy great success, though Rupert Grint has also excelled, albeit on the small screen, tackling interesting roles within television. The kind of success enjoyed by the three has only been seen once at such a scale, with the children of Stranger Things experiencing a similar leap to fame. Of course, being a child actor isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and in a previous video, I noted how such success could be a negative too. The original trio struggled enough, and that was without the likes of Twitter and TikTok dominating the landscape. These new stars will have to navigate a social media-driven world. They might be asked to weigh in on the Rowling controversy, even if they're only teens. They'll be pulled into an opinionated fandom, and if a person of color is cast to play any of the three, such as Hermione, said child will have to face their own pile of vitriol. The last thing I want to see is a group of 11-year-old kids getting bullied online, or pressured into joining debates. Additionally, the pressure to do well will be even greater. This is Harry Potter, and the stars will have big shoes to fill when it comes to not only the books, but the work done by Radcliffe, Watson, and Grint. The franchise, while popular in Daniel's time, is even greater now, arguably placing more pressure on the new Golden Trio than was placed on the first set of actors. The opportunity for young people is fantastic, and most of the Stranger Things kids seem well adjusted, but I can only hope precautions are taken to protect these new stars, from the media and fandom alike. A successful show will mean new household names, and a chance for 3 kids or more to have their lives changed forever. But safeguards will be needed to be taken, given how wild the internet has become, particularly in relation to Harry Potter. As a quick aside, be sure to hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video so far, so that others can enjoy it too. Number 3. Cut material from books. While I would like a Marauder series more than anything, a part of me has always wanted a reboot, simply because of the amount of scenes, characters, and plot points cut from the movies. Again, I adore the films, and always will, but I'm astounded, each time I read the books, at just how much was removed. It would take me several videos to list what was cut, but notable examples include Peeves, most of Tom Riddle's memories, and Hermione's spew campaign. In fact, several characters lose their development if they aren't removed altogether. Those who have only seen the films completely miss out on the bumbling Ludo Bagman or the suffering Winky. Film fans never get to see Voldemort's mother, uncle, or deranged grandfather. They never see his haughty father or the muggle grandparents he killed. They never even hear mention of Hepzibah Smith or Hokey the House Elf, despite these characters being involved in the origins of the Horcruxes. Even for characters seen in the films, material was cut. Firenze the Centaur is glimpsed in the first film, but in the books he actually becomes a divination teacher. Then there's Nearly Headless Nick's Death Day party and his quarrel with the Headless Hunt. I could go on and on, but the point stands. There's so much material I still want to see brought to life, and the sheer amount would make a reboot feel almost like an original show to those who only saw the films. Primary characters would also benefit. We could see more of Tonks and Lupin, the scenes in which Bill and Fleur are engaged, and the subplot in which Fred and George attempt to build capital for their joke shop. Characters like Bill Weasley and Mundungus would be introduced much sooner, making their inclusion in the Deathly Hallows more relevant to the audience. And finally, there are the main characters. Many weren't happy with how Ron and Ginny were written, for example. By expanding their characters within the TV show, fans could be shown much more of Ginny's arc. From her painful first year, in which she writes Harry an embarrassing poem, to her confidence in her later years, when her rebellious and adventurous nature finally wins Harry over. Ron's finer moments could be explored without Hermione taking them over, and fans could see more of the Golden Trio overall as they spend time with Harry. There's more still I could rant about, from the origins of the Whomping Willow to Hagrid's adventures among the giants, but suffice it to say that the amount of material cut from the books more than justifies this show. I'd argue that the show, provided it's faithful to the books, will even feel like something brand new. From the deleted scenes alone, it will be distinct from the films, and bookworms and film fans alike will enjoy seeing something they haven't before among the familiar. Hell, Peeves alone could justify this show, especially given how narrowly we missed having him in the movies. In conclusion, we live in the age of the reboot, and I'm as sick of them as anyone. Plus, the films occupy a special place in my heart. That said, the show doesn't have to take away from the films. I can enjoy the 1998 and 2005 versions of Pride and Prejudice at the same time, and my enjoyment of a television series will never take away from my enjoyment of the Harry Potter movies. I'll be having marathons for years to come. The movies aside, I want to see the show excel on its own, and for 3 reasons, be it opportunities for a new cast, the possibility of original content, and an adaptation that's more accurate to the books than ever. I actually think this reboot is justified. The films will always be special, but a Harry Potter TV show could establish new stars, increase the chance of receiving something like the Marauder show, and give book fans the rendition they've always imagined. What is your opinion of a Harry Potter show? Would you rather stick with the films? Or would you prefer to see something more original? Sound off in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and happy reading.